Voice of Change News.
This is Voice of Change Radio News. I'm Amanda Kumalo. A quick look at stories making the headlines. ZEC dismisses V11 allegations. In business news, Zim Agric Show kicks off with more exhibitors. In regional and international news, EU polls report full of misrepresentations. In sports news, champions Platinum Queens outclass ZDF Queens. The news in detail. Allegations circulating on social media that election agents and observers are being recalled to sign new V11 result forms are totally false, the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission said yesterday. This comes as some in the opposition, particularly the CCC, have been making feeble attempts to discredit presidential election results pronounced by ZEC on Saturday night. In a statement yesterday, ZEC Chief Elections Officer Mr. Otwele Slaigwana said the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission notes with concern reports circulating on social media to the effect that election agents and observers are being recalled to sign new V11 result forms. Meanwhile, the situation in Zimbabwe remains very peaceful and calm after last week's highly successful elections, with police not recording any incidents of disturbances by late yesterday. Police assured members of the public to feel free to conduct their day-to-day businesses in the post-election period. Officers would remain deployed countrywide to thwart and rogue elements who might want to cause disturbances. There are motorized and foot patrols in central business districts, residential, industrial, and other areas in order to maintain law and order. In an interview, National Police spokesperson Assistant Commissioner Ponyat said they were happy with the cooperation they were receiving from the public in terms of maintaining law and order. Moving on to business news. The 113th Zimbabwe Agricultural Show rolled into life yesterday with an increase in exhibitors from different sectors of the economy who have more than 70,000 out of 77,000 square meters of available space. This year, over 500 exhibitors will be participating at the show organized by the Zimbabwe Agricultural Societies as compared to 420 last year. Harare's exhibition park has business conferences and entertainment events lined up for the annual event where farmers get the opportunity to compete and showcase their produce. Yesterday, some exhibitors were still putting last-minute touches to their stands and there were no long queues at entry points. Running under the theme Sustained Growth, Adaptation, Productivity and Linkages, the show offers unique business and networking opportunities through exhibitions and conferences. In news beyond our borders, Zimbabwe yesterday called the European Union (EU) to order following the release of an adverse preliminary report full of misrepresentations and allegations by the bloc's elections observer mission. In addition, government said it was not acceptable for the EU's mission to impose its ideas and interfere in Zimbabwe's internal affairs, attacking its constitutionally established democratic institutions. Last Friday, the EU's mission released a preliminary report that strayed from its mandate and was more of a collection of the opposition's speculations and grievances than an objective analysis of findings, something the government said was unacceptable. President Mnangagwa had invited all those wishing to observe the polls across the globe in the spirit of transparency and promoting credibility of last week's harmonized elections. Contrary to the Rogue Observer Mission's reports, several leaders have sent congratulatory messages to President Mnangagwa and the ruling ZANU-PF party following their victory in last week's harmonized elections. In a statement yesterday, the President of South Africa congratulated the government and the people of Zimbabwe for organizing the harmonized elections. And finally, in sports news, Platinum Queens continued with their dominance over ZDF Queens in the Nedbank Premier Netball League when emerging winners in a tightly contested encounter at Bethany Project Netball Courts over the weekend in Rishavane. The defending champions managed a 34-28 win over ZDF Queens in a match that saw the two teams going toe-to-toe for most of the game. Platinum Queens, who were playing at home, were 8-7 up by the end of the first quarter and extended the lead by just a goal in the second quarter to go into halftime leading 15-13. There were not many changes in the third quarter as ZDF Queens gave a good fight to contain the home team and were again trailing by just a goal going into the last quarter. That brings us to the end of this bulletin.
Voice of Change News.